Well, fairly grey weather again today. Yeah, a bit of rain, not the best. We had a few weeks of fantastic weather, but a lot of people here. When we went to the roofing place, maybe they're having a Friday piss up. That would make sense. It's Friday afternoon after all. I'm going to have myself a Guinness down at PJ's. Certainly politically things are hotting up. Definitely this seat's one that both parties are pretty keen on. They must be, because Scott Morrison was here apparently yesterday. And not only that, I got a phone call, which was a Robo call, so automated recording, and it was Warren Entsch, who's the current Liberal member here, so he's obviously a little worried. He didn't do that in the last election, so yes, he's trying all stops, but apparently he's doing okay according to the papers and everything. It looks as though the Cairns Post is reporting that the punters are getting behind the Liberals in this seat, so it looks as though Queensland's not going to be too bad for them in the long term. Of course, they've got the advantage that Palmer's preferencing the Liberals, so that's going to make a big difference, because I think Palmer's party's actually doing slightly better than One Nation nationally, so that could be very important. My prediction is that the Liberals will just probably sneak it in. But it could be a minority government, or it could be a comfortable majority for the Libs. I don't think Labor will win. I'll be very surprised and very disappointed if they do. But it's not just talking with my heart here. I'm talking with my head, to the extent that well, Shorten has run a bad campaign, and I think he's done a lot of damage to their cause. If they'd had Albanese leading the Labor Party, I think they might have got over the line. So I think they've made a huge tactical error having someone like Shorten leading their party. He's pretty dodgy in my opinion, and I think he's not the man for the job. He has a major charisma deficit. The Liberals have done pretty poorly in their campaigning as well, but you know, if you've got to actually put an effort in if you want to win government. You can't just assume it's going to happen. It almost seems to me as if Labor had penciled this in as a win before the actual event, and that's a dangerous thing to do in politics. And you'll always find, especially, that there'll be a drift towards a Conservative party near election time. So just because they were leading for a long time, and there's a lot of residual business over all the challenges that take place, Abbott getting dumped and then Turnbull getting dumped. You know, they've been through a lot of traumas, the Liberals, and yet it looks as though people are not going to trust Labor with power. And then if Labor got a majority in the lower house, I think they'd have a hostile Senate. I think they wouldn't have a majority there anyway. So a lot of their crazy policies wouldn't cut mustard in the upper house and be rejected. So mind you, it's not going to be a picnic for the Liberals either if they do scrape through. I actually discovered that I had a flight lined up that I was going to book from Cairns. It was crazy in that I had to fly all the way down to Melbourne and then get a connection with Qantas, and the flight was slated in about $435, which is quite reasonable. It's not as cheap as going through Bali, but then again, if you go through Bali, you have to go through immigration, all the hassles that involves with that, to change flights, and you know, I'd have to get a room for the night because the flight's the next day. So you know, the monetary and logistical advantages of that are not great. So that would have been nice, flying full service, even though I had to go down to Melbourne to get that Qantas flight. Would have been about $435, which isn't too bad, and I get baggage allowance for the Qantas leg. So that's the other thing, I'll have to pay for my baggage with Jetstar. So there's a few hassles there, but unfortunately, within 24 hours, the prices have gone up by about $200 for those flights. It's a Qantas sale, and they were snapped up. Obviously they may provide more flights in the future because the actual sale's going through to the beginning of June, so it's not like it's finished. So airlines tend to do that. They might release more flights in the interim. I'm not going to rush about it because I might get specials going through Denpasar, but it's not my preferred option, although it is shorter time in the air, but it's a hassle having to go through Denpasar. It's a pain in the ass, and it's not a great airport, and I don't like going through security checks and through immigration more times than I have to. It's a hassle. One of the things that makes flying very unpleasant, in my opinion anyway. I just don't like it. So anything that can simplify the process would be better. Unfortunately, Silk Air, which would be the obvious option, are just too damn expensive. They're just gouging on this route. See, they're a full service airline too. I'd rather just have a standard airline. It's only a 6.5 hour flight to Singapore direct. I just wish there was some carrier that wasn't full service that could provide, you know, quite a cheap fare. Presumably less. They could probably, a direct flight you could probably get for less than 300, I would think, about 250. That'd be brilliant. And you know, you just go point to point from Cairns, but you know, unfortunately it doesn't exist. I'll still keep looking around. The Cathay Pacific is still operating here, but they go to Hong Kong, so then I have to go up there and come back, which is not great because Hong Kong's not going to do me any good at all. Actually, they're not really an option. I mean, I've got good flights with those, but those BA flights are great. You know, they'll take me to Madrid. That's fantastic. But I'm a bit nervous about taking a different airline to do my connections, because if they stuff me around, if they cancel a flight or delay it sufficiently, if I can't make that connection, I don't know if I've got much of a leg to stand on. Although at least British Airlines are partners with Qantas and Jetstar, so that's something. So maybe that's a one world alliance airlines, so that may help. I don't know. It might make things a little better. I'm not sure. It's a risk. It's a big risk. Once I get over that, of course, then there's no major hassles after that. If I get stuffed around with flights on the way back, it's not such a big deal. But going there, you know, crucial that I make that connection in Singapore and make that 10:30 flight at night, because the flight was getting in around 6 o'clock, the Qantas flight that I was looking at, which is quite good. But if I go the other way, if I go via Denpasar, I think I'll be getting in about 4 o'clock. So plenty of wiggle room there, about, you know, six hours or so before the flight, and that's fine by me. I'd rather it be more than less. The worst thing would be if you missed your flight. That'd be horrible. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, hopefully an airline like BA would actually understand the circumstances and try to put you on another flight, but who knows, they might just be hard asses and try to charge you a heap of money. They're pretty tight with the dough, actually, British Airways, because with them, I've never struck this before with a full service airline, but you cannot pick your seats until 24 hours prior to the actual flight. So that's a first for me with a full service airline. Normally you can pick your seats as soon as you book your flight, but no, not with British Airways. And it's not even, it's worse. Even their higher level economy, they also have to do it, and so does business class. They can't book their seats until 24 hours before the flight unless they pay an extra amount, which I think is crazy. I mean, if you're going business class, I mean, that's just petty. That is just so petty. But you know, even if you're paying for the top grade economy, it's pretty bad. So yeah, not good in my opinion. That's very poor PR, and I think that's going to come back to bite them. I think it's really stupid. It's just cutting costs where you just don't need to. However, that's the way they want to run it. So I'm really happy about having the place in Seville. I checked out the location in Seville, and it's absolutely surrounded by tapas bars. It couldn't be. It's real tapas central. It's a fantastic location. So and I really haven't checked out the tapas bars in the past because I've been travelling more on a budget. I can afford to indulge myself a bit, and so why not? So, and the older you get, every year you feel you want a little more comfort, so that's why I sort of like my full service flights when I can get them. But I still want to. I don't want to go crazy with money. So I think I got a pretty good deal actually in Seville. When you consider the bang I got for the bucks, it's like I think it's pretty similar to what it may be even better than what I'm going to get in Saigon, because rather than just having one hotel room, I've got a whole flat, 60 square metre flat with 2 bedrooms. So if someone wants to come and stay there, they can. I've got so I'll mention that to a couple of people I know and just see if they're interested in going overseas, and they've got a room there basically, so which isn't a bad deal. Please consider subscribing to my channel if you think there's anything there of use to you, or entertainment or whatever, and either do that or give me a thumbs up, or if you're feeling really energetic, do both. That'd be great. But please don't ignore me. That's the worst thing you can do on YouTube, is be ignored.